Hello, welcome back. I know we're still not thrifting, but you remember my last video when I said it will not be the last time that like someone's gonna leave your life. This is not gonna be the last time that someone's gonna stop talking to you. You're gonna lose friends. This is not gonna be the last time this happens. Well, today I'm gonna be talking about friendship breakups and how they're not talked about enough, I feel like. So let's get into it. Me, I have gone through Tiny. She's chewing the wire. No chewing wires. Okay, so I've gone through like, I'm gonna say like 5 friendship like breakups or like whatever. I'm just gonna go through a quick little like story times of each one, and maybe you guys can relate or whatever. Maybe it'll just show it to you guys that no matter what, it might happen and it's okay, and things happen and people do things and you can choose whether to deal with it or to move on from it, you know? So let's get into it. So first we're going to talk about the friend who became my bully, and this was like, I was in like 5th grade. It really, like, obviously I'm pretty over it now, but did it put some trust issues in me as like a kid? Yes. Yes it did. So pretty much like she was my best friend, and you know when you're young and you have best friends, you tell them all your secrets and like they go over your house and stuff like that. Except I was like in 5th or 6th, I don't remember. It was like I was young. Point it, I was young. I think it was like 5th or 6th grade, and I was friends with her, and she would come over my house, and I was obsessed with Monster High dolls, and I still play with dolls and I still love like playing with dolls, but she was a little faster than me and she didn't care about dolls and stuff like that. She cared about boys, so she wanted to talk about boys. I didn't really care about boys. I liked my dolls. So I had to like fake caring about boys. So I would tell her, oh yeah, I have a crush on this boy. It was like the boy that like everyone had a crush on, so I was like safe to say I have a crush on him because everyone says that they have a crush on him, so it's like not that big of a deal. But then she started to tell these boys I had a crush on him. Now we were like 5th grade, so focus on me, come back to the story, come on. We're like in 5th grade, and you see my hair, it's a lot, and my mom did what she can with my hair, you know. It was never bad, it was never ugly. She never sent me to school with like bad hair or anything, but it was like in braids and stuff like that, and I wore glasses. Let's just say I was not the most popular kid. I was not like the one that everyone wanted to date. I was not her. Okay, I was not her. So they didn't like me, and she decided, because she was her apparently, that she was gonna tell everybody. Hello? She was gonna tell everybody who my crush was. And she did, and it was like very like whatever. I'm drinking a coquito latte because I was craving a coquito latte. It's very good. But yeah, so yeah, she basically turned into my bully after that because I like didn't like she falls off the bed, so I have to fix it. Okay, she basically turned into my bully at that point, and she kept like bullying me about the guys I liked because she also liked them, but I'm like, everyone likes them, it's really not that big of a deal. And it was a whole thing. Whatever. She turned into like my biggest bully. I had problems in the school because of her. She tried to fight me. It was a lot. She pulled my hair, and a lot of people hated her because of the way they treated me, because I was nice to people. Like I wasn't someone who was like really mean to people. I was really nice to everyone. I was super sweet. Like I was a very shy person, so her picking on me to people looked really weird and really bad on her part. So yeah, that gave me a bit of trust issues when it came to like high school, because no one I really knew went to my high school. I think like 1 or 2 people went to the same high school that I went to, and we were kind of friends, but like when we got to high school we all went into like different groups, so we didn't talk anymore, you know. And that just happens. And I ended up, when I went into high school, my whole plan was like, oh, I don't want to meet anyone, I don't want to hang out with friends, I don't want friends. Like I literally was like, I don't want friends, they're mean, like they turn on you. Like that was my mindset going into like high school. And then I met this girl because I went to arts high school and it was like auditions and stuff like that. I met this girl during auditions and she was really nice during auditions, and then we found out that we have the same classes when we went to actual school, and we ended up being friends. And we gotta keep this person in mind because we ended up being friends, and then she made friends with other people who became my friends. Keep that in mind as well, because this is about to turn into like 20 different stories in one with like one person. But let's call this girl N. She made friends with another girl, let's call her S. Okay, they made friends and we became like this trio that like if you invited one of us, all three of us were gonna come kind of situation. Like we were kind of like attached at the hip. But me and this other girl S had like problems because I had a boyfriend in high school and she was like friends with my boyfriend but like wasn't friends with him until I started dating him. But like she knew him before I knew him, so it was like a really weird like dynamic. But then like it turned out that my boyfriend at the time had a crush on S, and I was really stupid and 14, 15, and I was like, well, he, not in my mind, I was just kind of like, well, he chose me, so it must not be that big of like a crush or that big of a deal. So I was just like, okay, whatever, right? But then it turned out that no, like he would walk her home and like whatever, and he would be texting her and like he would be complimenting her on like social media and like Snapchat and like in private and like stuff like that. I didn't like that. I thought that was weird, but it's important to the story. So eventually I was in this, and the guy that I was like in a relationship was super toxic. Worst person I've ever met in my entire life. Like I hate that person. Hate him. But she was in a relationship, like she was still friends with him. Like me and him would be on and off, and whenever we would break up, everybody, and like we had like kind of a big friend group, which I go into a whole other story. Like not really, like I stopped talking to all of them, whatever, but we had this kind of big friend group, and whenever me and this guy would break up, everyone would still hang out with him, and it was just like, how am I supposed to get over or break up with him if everybody were still hanging out all the time? Like it's kind of, you know. So we always ended up getting back together. Eventually my friends stopped hanging out with him, so I was like, oh my god, great, so now I can like get over him, like, you know, pretty much. And I did, after like seeing him cheat on me or with another girl for like the millionth time. I was like, yeah, that's it, I'm done, I hate you now. Which is like, I talked about this before, but staying with someone until you hate them, don't do that. It's kind of, you end up hating yourself in the like long run, but whatever. Point is, yeah, I hated him, and I was like, you know what, that's it, like I don't want to be with him anymore. My friends are super happy about it, obviously, because I wasn't in a super toxic situation. But like that obviously changed like my brain, because I was in a super toxic relationship for like 4 years and it was like really bad on and off stuff. So it changed my brain. I was in therapy for a while, but I'm still in therapy again, just a different therapist. But we're gonna get into that in a second. So then we graduate high school, we go to college, right? And I was still friends with these girls. I'm not really, like, I'm friends with the guys, but just like we're kind of already growing apart. So it was like there was like, yeah, it was a group of friends. But like, you know, we're kind of growing apart already. We're all going to different schools. My friends, those two girls went to one school and I went to another one. So we were like, our schedules are kind of weird, so I didn't really see them that much. But we had planned to hang out, and we were all hanging out and everything. And during these times of like us being friends, there have been like situations where it's like always felt like they were closer than I was, and it was like, at the time I was like, maybe it's just situations like they can't control, like, you know, they happen to be in the same class, so they go on the same trips or like whatever. But then there were like certain situations where it was like, no, like they didn't actually, like I could have signed up for that, but they didn't tell me I could have signed up for it, and they're actually not in the same class like I thought they were. She actually signed up to like go to stuff with her, and like they never told me about that stuff, and they always said like, oh, I thought you wouldn't be interested. And it's just like, you know, and it was low-key my fault. Like, yeah, I had the stupid boyfriends issue, but it was like, maybe if I had like more of a support system, I wouldn't have felt like I needed to be with that guy. But that's just my thought. Anyway, they were always a lot closer. So I was like, okay, again, mind you, I made friends with N, and she made friends with S, and she just got closer to S. That's just how it went. So then we went to yeah, I went to college. They went to the same college, I went to a different college, but it wasn't that far from each other, like genuinely. But they always would like not be able to hang out with me, or they would always be like, oh, like I have to study, I have to study. And then Anne made more friends because she was in like a program, and then I made a lot more friends than like whatever. S would always complain to me and say like how she, cause here's the thing about S, if you have other friends besides her, she's gonna complain about it because then you don't have time for her. And that like messed with me all through high school because I could have had other friends, and I did have other friends, which is another story, but I did have other friends, but it was hard to like get close to them because then S would be like, oh, but I don't like this person, oh, but like whatever, and basically it's just like stop talking to them because I don't like them. And it's like this girl, like, oh, she's my friend, like she's my best friend, so I'm gonna listen to her, and if she's uncomfortable with something, I'm gonna not do it. Is basically how my whole mindset was, because I was like, this is my friend for years, so I'm gonna like listen to it. If she's uncomfortable, I'm gonna make her comfortable. Like, it's really not that big of a deal. I've known her for forever. These people I barely know, so I won't hang out with them as much because I have to hang out with my friend, you know? But this ended up being like a weird thing where like I didn't have a lot of friends to hang out with because I would be waiting for them to hang out, but they wouldn't want to hang out with me because they were hanging out with each other or like their new friends, because they could make friends. I just couldn't make friends. And then yeah, I'll just do this today. See how I feel about that. Oh, that's kind of lopsided here. Yeah, okay. But then yeah, so whatever, right? Then stopped talking to my ex. They all stopped talking, so I was like, great, this is the time that I'm not gonna have to deal with this guy anymore. Like, I'm so happy we're finally getting over it. Like, look at me, like I'm finally getting over this. Now mind you, me and him ended up going to the same school, but I barely saw him, so that was great. Next thing's next, almost a year later, I found out that she was texting this guy behind my back, my ex, and I was like, no way. Like, I was trying to give her the benefit of the doubt so hard. And the thing is, I saw his username in her like Instagram DMs because she was like showing me something, and I was like, no way, like this, no way, she would never do that to me, like there's no way. And then I was wrong, it was indeed it was indeed him. So I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, okay. And then I texted her about it when we had gotten home from the hangout because I like didn't know how to handle it, because I was like, this is like whatever. But I called my other friend about it because I was N. I called her and I was like, hey, so this happened today and I noticed this, but I didn't want to say anything because I felt weird, but like whatever. So then she was like, just ask her about it. So I was like, okay. I asked her about it. She was like, oh, you saw that? And I was like, yeah. She's like, yeah, like we've been texting every once in a while, blah blah blah, send memes. It's really not that big of a deal. Like, he doesn't even live here anymore. Like, apparently he moved. And I was like, you mean this guy that like put me through absolute you're still talking to him behind my back and you just think it's not that big of a deal? Like, that's, I really would have preferred if you just, I think I said something of like, you shouldn't have been talking to him in the first place. And she said, mind you, this is the same person who told me that she didn't like any of the people that I made friends with. So yeah, she said, that's really toxic of you to tell me who I can and can't talk to. Mind you, I think first thing of girl code is like, you don't talk to your friend's exes anymore, especially if you knew how dirty he did me. You wouldn't be talking to him anymore. Like, that's just kind of how like girl code is. That's what I don't know, that's how I think of things. So yeah, and then she didn't think of it that way, so she called me toxic. And the thing is, I was so like, I really care about this person so much that I was like, no, I just can't talk to her for a minute. Like, I'm really mad at her, but I don't want to lose her as a friend, so I'm just gonna give myself space from her. But then she called me toxic. And I was like, okay, you want to see toxic? I don't want to talk to you ever again. I never want you in my life ever again. And since that moment, I haven't spoken to her. Well, she tried to text me, I think a week or something afterwards. She was like, listen, like, I'm sorry, something about like, I hope we can reconnect in the future. if I were to go to her school and blah blah blah. And I was like, I'm not going to your school. I don't want to reconnect with you. I don't want anything to do with you. And then I blocked her on everything. Because I didn't want her contacting me at all. And I felt so bad about it for so long, but I was like, now I really can't trust anybody. Like, the trust issues are back. So I was like, okay. Like, it was so bad that I had to ask, like, my other friend N, and I was like, you're not talking to him, right? Like, you haven't. Like, it was really bad. Like, I was so paranoid because he was so awful. And then, yeah, so that, and I stopped talking to her. Now move on to the other friends that I had in college. I had, like, 2 friends. They were dating, and I had also been dating, like, somebody at some point, and then we had broken up, and then her and her relationship had, like, broken up, and then I was being too much. I know I was being too much. I was being a lot. I was, like, super, like, there was just too much going on in my life. There was too much going on in, like, her life, and I think I was just being too much, and she was just like, I just don't want to talk to you for a little bit. And I was like, okay. That turned into, we haven't spoken since she said that. And it hurt me so bad, because I felt like she was my actual best friend, and I, like, screwed it up by talking about how awful my other best friends were. And I probably could have, like, a really great long relationship with this relationship and friendship with this person if I didn't complain so much about these other people who really didn't mean anything to me. And who, like, you know? So that one is that one. Kind of ghosted me, and I was, again, I was too much. I know I was too much. I was just like, whatever. But that's probably one of the ones that I'm, like, super the most upset about out of all of these, because, like, I really thought that we were, like, gonna be besties forever, but apparently not. This one is the doozy. So we all remember N. Oh, no. Yes, these two kind of go together. We all remember N, right? Remember, N makes friends, and I just end up being friends with N's friends. So I made friends with N's friends, and N's friend ended up being, R. I'm gonna say R. And R eventually showed that they were not my friend, but they were more of, like, a friend of a friend. So eventually I stopped getting invited to things after I stopped talking to S, because S and N stood friends. And I just couldn't complain about it, because in N's mind, she didn't do anything wrong to her, so why would she stop talking to her? And I was like, right. So they were still friends, and I was like, okay, I can't do anything about it, so whatever. But then N made more friends, and I ended up being friends with them, and I thought that we were, like, all, like, kind of like our little group again, like, except with different people who were supposedly, like, better. So I was like, okay, let's go, like, let's be friends, like, whatever. So I would call her once in a while and blah blah blah. But then I ended up going, like, I went from one school to another school. Like, I transferred to, like, a better school, but the school's, like, farther. And, like, recently they had stopped kind of asking me to hang out, because they were more, like, focused on, like, the dating aspect of college, which is no big deal, but they made it seem like I didn't want to date people, or I didn't want to do anything with people. So I was like, it's not that I don't want to date people, but I just have severe trust issues with, like, people in general, and I don't really want to deal with that right now, pretty much. And they didn't understand that. They were just kind of like, well, you don't want to date, so we're not really talking to you about any of this, which kind of made no sense, because just because I didn't want to date doesn't mean you kind of, like, just stop talking to me or stop hanging out with me. But I digress. Anyway, I would send them things that I would really want to do with them, like, I would really want to go places with them, and then they would just go without me with, like, their friends, or they would go with, like, a date, or they would go with each other, but they won't hang out with me. They won't come with me. So I was like, okay, you know, I would get mad about it. I would tell them, like, I'm mad about it, but then they would kind of, like, make me feel bad for being mad that they're doing that. But I was like, how does that make sense? Like, I told you I wanted to do that and you're not doing it with me. And it's just like, well, we could just go next time. And it's just like, well, why couldn't I go this time with you? Yeah, so it was like a whole situation. But anyway, eventually I was like kind of friends with R for a minute. Like, I hung out with him alone and everything. We were friends. But then eventually it started getting to a point where I would like call them and they would be like monotone, like we're not talking or having conversations. And it was like, okay, really weird. So I just ended up like slowly moving myself away from them. But then I was still friends with N because she's my friend from high school, and like we're besties, we're conjoined at the hip. Wherever she goes, I go. Wherever I go, she goes. Except that hasn't been the case for like a year and a half. So I was like, yeah, like, you know, I would tell her about it, but then she would get upset if I would tell her like bad things about her friends. But I was like, they're kind of being like not that great people right now to me. Like, I don't know, whatever, but it was just like, it must be my fault. And I still don't know what the heck happened with that, to be honest. But then eventually they stopped really hanging out with me. They stopped asking me to hang out. They stopped asking me to join things. They made this whole other big friend group that they just did not invite me to, did not like whatever. So I was like, okay, like, you know, I had other friends anyway, like that I had at work and stuff like that. So I was like, whatever. But at the same time, those friends were not really hanging out with me either. So I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do? So I stopped hanging out with people, and I ended up getting with, remember that person I said that I was dating at the time? We had broken up over like a personal issue with like with him, and we ended up getting back together, or like dating. We went on a date or something, and I told N about it, and I told her about this. I was like, hey, but like just don't tell R because I know this person doesn't like this person. I don't want to deal with it, like, you know what I mean? And I know what you're thinking, but why are you dating someone that your friends don't like? I had gotten to a point where I was like, a lot of these people are not caring about what's going on in my life anyway, so I'm just gonna do what I want to do because like I really like this person. I really think that we had something unfinished. I really want to go on a date with this person. But I know N told R, because as soon as I had the courage to finally tell like R, it was like, oh, I already knew about that. Yeah, I don't want anything to do with it though. That cut the friendship immediately. And I realized like, this isn't even really my friend. Like, this is her friend. This is like, this guy does not care about me. Like, this is not my friend. So that cut that friendship. But now the friendship with N. Friends for almost 10 years. And she was in a relationship. And the relationship kind of ended like badly. And they like broke up, whatever. But she was like trying to already get out there in the world and dating again. And I was like, you were with this person for like 2 years, bud. Like, why don't you just like chill, you know? But she was like ready to like dating apps, whatever. And I was like, okay, like, do you, blah, blah, blah. But like, then she gave me like the reason that they basically broke up is because he was prioritizing his new friends that he made in like college and stuff like that, and like his new school or something. And that's basically why they broke up, because like it was like a whole like whatever. And but then she stopped talking to me or I stopped talking to her because she was putting her new friends first that she's made in college. So it never really made sense to me, now that I'm like thinking back on it, because that's kind of like super hypocritical. But yeah, so eventually our whole friendship was like pretty much like, when we were in college, was like, hey, like, I noticed you're really busy now, like, you know, if you want to hang out with these people, like, I would love to join and hang out with your friends too. And it was just kind of like, oh yeah, I'll invite you next time. Never gets an invite. So I was like, okay. And then eventually I started like dating my boyfriend, and then that's when everybody was like, oh, you want to hang out here, you want to hang out here, you want to hang out here. And now I'm like busy all the time because now I have a boyfriend. I'm not free anymore. So it's like, and you're probably thinking, well, why can't you be free? A lot of the time in my mind I was thinking, why would I make myself available for people who did not invite me to anything until now? No. So I was like, no, I'm just gonna hang out with my boyfriend. Like, I'm not hanging out with people who didn't want to hang out with me. Like, this whole like years, you literally did not invite me to anything, and now you want to invite me to stuff now that I have like the boyfriend that you guys don't really like. And everybody's made sense. And mind you, why I don't like him is not why you think they don't like him. I'm just gonna put that out there. That's just their own personal beef that they had. It has nothing to do with me. But yeah, so that all happened. And then eventually she started blaming me for not showing up to stuff, but I was like, you don't invite me to things. You only invite me to things the day of things, expecting me to just not have plans, but I have plans now. I'm not gonna be home every day, like, you know? So, whatever. I got tired of basically begging. Like, I ended up going back to therapy because, like, I started this new relationship that I actually really wanted to work out. So I was like, I need to go back to therapy to work on, like, my trust issues and my whatever, like, boundaries, everything. So I went back to therapy for that. And then going back to therapy for that, I also ended up, like, running out of things to talk about because we already worked through a bunch of stuff. And then I was like, I am having this issue with my friends, though. Like, they're not inviting me to things. I feel like they don't really like me anymore. Like, I don't really know what to do. So eventually, over time, she's kind of telling me, you're in a toxic relationship with your best friend. And I was like, no. Like, no. And she was like, no, you're in a toxic relationship with your best friend. You just don't see it because you're putting her on this pedestal. But she's really, really bad for you. Like, you're begging her to make time for you and she's not making time for you. And then it's like a back and forth of her just keeping you around whenever she's not busy. And then you're like, you have to move around your entire schedule or like whatever just so you can accommodate her, but she never does that for you. I was like, oh. Okay. So then I was like, okay, what do I do? And she was like, well, it's up to you, but I don't think you should have this person in your life anymore. I was like, okay. And that was like 3 months before I actually stopped talking to her. And I kind of ended it with being like, I'm tired of begging to be around you or whatever, you're just so busy for me, like you have so much going on. So if that's the case, you let me know when you are free, okay? Let me know when you're a little less busy and then we can hang out a little better, you know? And it was basically like a thing of like, let me know when I'm like more of a priority in your life, because like we've been friends for like 10 years and I'm treated like I just met you last week, like, you know? So I was like, you know, let's just see. But I knew for a fact nothing was gonna come of it. I knew the friendship was pretty much over. So then like a few months later, I find out that she runs into my boyfriend in the gym. And our friendship, again, is pretty much over, but we still like follow each other on stuff. Because like we still like, you know, we wanted to support each other, whatever. But then I found out like she was asking my boyfriend about me. And like with like S, because they're still friends. So they were like asking my boyfriend about me and talking and whatever. And I was just like, so you can talk about me, but you can't text me or call me up and ask me how I'm doing. Again, I knew she wasn't going to, but it was crazy that it was basically proved. So I was like, okay, bye bye. And I like blocked them on like everything. Like I blocked all of her friends, everybody. Like I was like, I don't want anything to do with these people anymore because whatever. Or I unfollowed all of them. But it's crazy because as soon as I unfollowed one of them, my followers went like boop, like they were waiting for me to do that. So it's interesting, but it's over now. With all of these to say that like it didn't hurt really losing them. Like yeah, it hurt for a little bit. Like it was just kind of like, dang, like these are my friends, what am I gonna do now, whatever. But I did make other friends that actually do care about me and care about what I do with my life and like whatever. But yeah, it didn't hurt losing them. What hurt the most is like how long I stayed, even though like I was definitely already being pushed aside. Like I noticed this for years and I just didn't want to accept it, you know? But yeah, every friendship breakup that this like had, it definitely taught me something that I didn't know before. Like with the first one, it was just like, okay, I can't trust everyone, you know? Like I thought this girl was my best friend. I should have like eased up and like not really accepted her that much. With the second one, it was kind of like, if I already noticed the signs of like weirdness and like unloyalty, that's it. Like, you know, just don't be surprised when it's actually true that they're unloyal to you as a friend. Like it's just, you know. With the third one, it was just like there was no closure, and sometimes that's okay. Like you're just gonna have to accept it. You like, not every ending comes with like a goodbye. It's just more of like a, I can't do this anymore, and that's okay. Like, you don't beat yourself up over it. Yeah, not every friendship is meant to be that deep, and that's okay. With the fourth one, like, it's okay that not every friendship is that deep. Sometimes people are just your friend's friends, and they don't have to be your friend, okay? And with the fifth one, it's just like, no matter how long you've been together doesn't mean that you guys, like, how long you guys have been friends or anything doesn't mean that you guys actually align anymore. And if they don't allow you to grow, it's not your friend, you know? Yeah. Sometimes outgrowing people is like the closure you need, though, because then you know that they just weren't meant for you anymore. That's just it. Losing friends doesn't mean you failed. It just means you changed, honestly, because that's a lot of what happened with especially the like last two. It's just like, I changed from the person that I was and who they probably wanted me to stay to someone who is just more like aware of when they're being not treated the best, I guess I can say, because I really wasn't being treated the best in that friendship. So I have no like bad blood about any of these people. It's just more like interesting and just proving the fact that you will be feeling these kinds of grievances in different ways multiple times in your life. So just don't hang on to that feeling too long, because life happens. It's just how it is. But tell me which one you guys relate to, and we can talk about it in the comments below. Yeah, I know it's a lot, but friendship breakups, they're not talked about a lot, but they are very, very hard. I feel like a lot harder than actual breakups. But yeah, follow everything linked below. Check out my Instagram, check out my Substack, check out my website, because I have a lot of stuff on there. And I have to fix my hair. I let it dry too much. I have to put oil in it now. Yeah, like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Hopefully I'm thrifting.